Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, what's it to you? I'm in a mood. Just a fair warning. I have to explain to you what happened to me. I woke up earlier than normal, tried to get back to sleep, couldn't, which is already, right, not great. So then I did what I do every morning, which is I picked up the instrument of my torture, and I checked Twitter. And as early as it was, the president was up before me. He was tweeting. And I got to tell you, he is as vile. Oh, like I'm telling you something you don't know. He is as vile and dangerous a human being that one could conjure. I then found a piece by a guy who I think is just fantastic. If I were a writer, I'd like to be Charles Pierce. And he writes for Esquire. And so after seeing the president's tweets, I went to Charles Pierce for a measure of solace. And I can't say I got it, but what I got was a Piercean takedown of this president. Pierce apparently, and I don't know when he started doing it, he will not even capitalize. I mean, in his pieces, Secretary of State is capital S, capital S. It's, I'm sure, a style book. You know, the National Football League is capital, capital, capital. People are capitals. Senator Bob Corker is a capital S, capital B, capital C. He can't do that with Trump anymore. So when he's referring to the president, it's a small p with an asterisk after it. So whenever he's talking about Trump, it's just the president, small p with an asterisk, setting him apart and refusing him the respect that would come with the honorific of president. And what he did, and what a lot of writers are now doing, excuse me, is all they have to do is reach back 12 hours, 24 hours, and remind their readers what the small p president asterisk has done in that small little space of time. And if every day you are reminded in detail of what this guy has done the day before, it is hard to get out of bed to imagine what is awaiting us today. And I'd already gotten a sneak peek by the presidential tweets. In case you don't follow our wonderful president on Twitter, let me share some of his tweets. I think you're aware, I'll only go back 13 hours. I think you're aware of him threatening to shut down NBC and other network news by taking their licenses away. The tweet sounded like something like this. Network news has become so partisan, distorted, and fake that licenses must be challenged and, if appropriate, revoked. Not fair to public. Okay. The Federal Communications Commission is the entity that grants licenses to television stations. Networks in and of themselves don't have a license, I don't believe, but each one of their individual stations, including their flagships, would. The only way one can be revoked is through the FCC. We've talked about the head of the FCC now under this small p president asterisk. And he is a full believer in Trumpism. So, I mean, we might see this kind of a thing. This is dictatorship 101 behavior. You don't like what the media is saying, you close it down. It is so un-American that it, again, if your reaction is one of despair to know that you now have a president who doesn't comprehend or respect the Constitution of the United States, that he, I believe we all saw, pledged to defend. Okay. Then he says, Puerto Rico, this is this morning. This is what I saw when I woke up. Puerto Rico survived the hurricanes. Now a financial crisis looms, largely of their own making. So he gets up, and at 6 o'clock this morning, he is out attacking the poor people of that island that is still, 90% without power. It's over 3 weeks, is it not, since the hurricane? 90% without water. Another huge percentage, without electricity. Another huge percentage without water. And this guy is saying it's your fault. He tweets again, electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. And then the capper, the third tweet. We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and first responders who have been amazing under the most difficult circumstances in Puerto Rico forever. So, it's your fault and a threat to pull out the help. He also, by the way, the, what is that stupid act that has to do with shipping that we didn't know about until we did, which he did begrudgingly put on hold, the Jones Act, thank you, Stephen, for to get supplies into Puerto Rico at the cheapest possible fare. And the Jones Act is now back, even though Puerto Rico is still reeling. And now everything that would be coming into Puerto Rico will be, I don't know, as much as twice as expensive. Is that the way that protectionist piece of crap Jones Act works? I believe so. Okay. So this is not a good way to start your morning, is it? And yet this is our reality, day after day after day. And I retweeted some tweets about it, and, just to make everybody as miserable as I was. And somebody tweeted back to me something like, calm down, Lynn, it'll be a fine day, or something like that. Well, that, of course, made me get even angrier. I think it's men. Why don't men know that if a woman is upset and you want to upset her more, then tell her to calm down? Seriously. Anyone tells me to calm down and I'm going to go ballistic. Just saying. So I went to Charles Pierce for a measure of comfort and succor. And here's what he says. And now that we've had a brief break in the action, and the Secretary of State has had his lunch with the President, whom the Secretary of State declines to deny once having called a fucking moron, let us review Tuesday's other White House highlights, shall we? Okay, so this is just a rundown. By the way, there was a weird thing that happened in, and I'm not sure I think it was where the press had at him for a little bit because Justin Trudeau was in town, and, there was one of those photo ops, and somebody said, how you getting along after your lunch with Secretary of State Tillerson, everything okay, and the reporter was referring to a lunch that he'd had not yesterday. Maybe it was yesterday. Anyway, Trump forgot that he'd had lunch. He said, what lunch? Or something to that effect. I don't think I'm reporting this quite clearly, but the reporter reporting it and the anchor to whom she was speaking both said on more than one occasion that the exchange was very strange. And these are reporters trying not to say, is he losing his mind? Look it up if you want. I don't know. Okay. How does the ESPN woman pronounce her name? Jamel? You don't pronounce the last E. Jamel. Thank you. I don't even know if I can bear to go through this. Little tidbits from Charles Pierce, okay? He talks about the ESPN thing, the president going after the NFL and the media and blah, 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 and going after Jamel again, Jamel Hill. And then he says this. Well, Pierce. While all this was going on, and the president's interest was fully engaged in these pressing national emergencies. Yeah, ESPN, Jamel Hill. Northern California was burning down. Most of Puerto Rico was still without power and safe drinking water. By the way, did you see the thing where the president these things don't even make the news. I even forget to tell you. And then when I say Puerto Rico, I remember hearing this thing where the president is talking to, what? A group? Some Puerto Ricans? And he said something about Puerto Rico, we're doing such a great job. Puerto Rico. Then he starts playing with the name. Puerto Rico, he says. Puerto Rico. I love Puerto Rico. This kind of thing doesn't make the news because, there's just so much space. Any other president doing any one of these things that doesn't even merit our attention anymore would have been pilloried for weeks on end. Why am I saying all this? You know it. So he's picking fights with the NFL and sportscasters by name. And meanwhile, California's burning down. Puerto Rico is still without power and safe drinking water. Kim Jong-un is still nuttier than he is, he thinks, by a hair. And the administrator of the EPA was preparing to reverse a plan put in place by the previous administration to cope with the climate crisis that probably has nothing to do with Northern California being in flames, and why Puerto Rico is as thirsty as a prisoner in Sheriff David Clark's Milwaukee jail, and why there's another damn hurricane forming in the Atlantic as we speak. This is because the EPA administrator does not believe that the climate crisis is real, and because the president doesn't know shit from tuna fish about anything. Anyway, that was all before breakfast on Tuesday. In the second week of the 10th month of the first year of this presidency. And Pierce says something has to be done. And so he turns to Barack Obama. And he tells him, it's time. It's time. Suit up. We need you. He says, I do not begrudge Barack Obama his leisure. He spent 8 years as president, and he spent all 8 of those years beset from the beginning by vandalism and deliberate sabotage of his administration. He spent all 8 of those years facing ghastly attacks upon his person, his background, his upbringing, his wife, his family. He came into office in the middle of the worst economic cataclysm since the Great Depression, and he left office knowing that he was required to hand the office over to an unqualified poltroon who'd made his political bones by engaging in racist attacks upon Obama's background. So, I don't begrudge him, says Charles Pierce, his hang gliding and his afternoons with Prince Harry watching the tennis matches and the time and the peace that's required to write his book on a tropical isle and the time he got to spend with his wife and daughters. He's more than earned every second of it. However, the country is burning down at the moment, literally and figuratively. A concerted effort being made to obliterate all the achievements of his 8 years in office is 1 or 2 votes away from succeeding. We're lurching toward war with Korea, and there's one natural disaster after another being dropped on a government that is half-staffed at best and being run by fools and lunatics in any case. Race and class and gender and all the other national wounds are being inflamed purposefully in the hopes that nobody will notice that the institutions of American democracy are unable to cope with the simple fact that the American people elected a fucking moron. He warns our institutions are not capable of withstanding these assaults much longer without cracking. The people in the country know this, or at least the 65% know this. They feel the deepening acceleration of this spiral. The Democratic Party doesn't have the power to lead, and the Republican Party doesn't have the will, and even at its best, the media is overmatched by the sheer magnitude of bullshit that this administration shovels out as a matter of course every hour of every day. This is no time for the most eloquent voices in society to be on the bench. So why, Mr. Obama? Why in the hell are you out there giving speeches to motherfucking bankers in motherfucking Brazil? Which is what he's doing. We are not a good people. For Christ's sake, look who we elected. Look who may be about to be elected senator from the state of Alabama. We are not a good people. We are an armed, angry, paranoid people. We kill each other. We have a sociopathic love for our firearms. We have an unconquerable rage directed at anyone who challenges our most cherished illusions. We save our most abandoned, pointless wrath for those whom our history and our politics have most regularly victimized. We turn on each other like dogs in a pit at the slightest provocation, and we will follow over a cliff any gaudy charlatan who tells us that there's a white bread paradise waiting for us on the rocks below. As a political entity, we are stupid, angry, and apathetic. We have traded impotent tantrums for civic involvement. And we're so goddamn proud of having done so that we elected to lead us a guy who's the most obvious avatar for everything that makes us less than what we should be. Jesus, take the goddamn wheel. It goes on. This is how I woke up. I just want you to know. Trump's tweets to this. And I think Pierce has it dead right. He then goes on to point out how Trump, as usual, of course, when California's burning down, went golfing. And he took with him a senator that a lot of people on our side of the fence like to think is not under his thrall. He took with him Lindsey Graham, who has come up against him and said things, but generally votes with him. And after they golfed, Lindsey Graham tweeted a most un-Lindsey Graham-like tweet. Really enjoyed a round of golf with President Donald Trump today. President Trump shot a 73 in windy and wet conditions. First of all, believe it or not, the golf world is going nuts. They say there is no way that he shot a 73. So Graham's lying because he understands this president responds to lies that make him grander, that extol his athleticism. And there's Lindsey Graham kissing his ass. Okay. Here's what Charles says about that. You know, unless they were conceding approach shots from 150 yards in, this is probably a bunch of shit. The president being over 70 and approximately as athletic as an andiron. You know that all the lies and enabling, large and small, trivial and not, are driving us towards some kind of existential crisis that neither the system nor the people in it are capable of handling anymore. Graham is fairly typical, and he's supposedly one of the rational ones. Revolting sycophancy too often surrenders easily to contagious madness. You can't be too over the top right now. Our country is in true danger. I was talking to my brother last night, and we're both pessimists by nature. So we were agreeing the grand experiment was pretty much done. No democracy lasts. Name me one. I mean, if it lasts, it'd still be around. No democracy lasts. I think because it's based often on freedom, that human nature takes over, and I don't know. Don't get me started. I don't know, but we are witnessing, and I'm sorry, we are witnessing the end of the American experiment as a leader of the world. We really are. And that one man could do this. Well, he didn't. The American people did it. Maybe not you, maybe not me, but Charles Pierce. There are Nazis being empowered all around the world. The conservatives here are now simultaneously reestablishing Jim Crow and the Gilded Age. And it's too far along to be fought with fantasies of what a great people we are. And then he speaks to Obama. Where were you when the women marched? Where were you when scientists marched? Where have you been on Pruitt, on DeVos, on Sessions, or on the endless assaults on your achievements? I know there are rules and norms guiding the deportment of ex-presidents. But it's not really a time to worry about political norms, is it? You called the repeal of your health care law an act of meanness, but you didn't mention the president who is in such a jacked up frenzy to pass it. What the hell is that? Where were you during the election about the Russian rat fucking? And where have you been since? Hillary Clinton is out there getting whacked around from hell until breakfast. Do you have her back? She called the reaction of your administration to this assault on American democracy mushy. And she was right. And she was the one who got pilloried for saying it. Where's the courage in that? People have been pushing back against this monstrosity daily at great personal risk. Why haven't you been one of them? Why haven't you been out front? You always have been a voice for reason. Defend reason now. Angrily, if you must. You always have been a voice for reconciliation. Demand it now. Harshly, if you must. You always have been the voice of a vision of the American ideal. Fight for it now, ruthlessly, and realize that it has real enemies within this country with whom we cannot reason, who will not reconcile, and who have every intention of grinding that American ideal into the dust in order to appease the unappeasable gods of their hatred and their fear. Long ago, I wrote that your capital error in politics was that you offered this country absolution without demanding penance. I'm reading that again. He's saying this to Obama. Your capital error in politics was that you offered this country absolution without demanding penance. And look at where that's gotten us. If you honestly believe in the America that you described in your speech on racism in Boston, then God damn it, fight for it. Fight for it. It's time to join the resistance full time. A madman is begetting more madmen, and frankly, I don't know how much time we have left. So, are you going to pat me on the back for getting out of bed and being here this morning? Tell me you disagree with that. I'm afraid we're a little like Humpty Dumpty, guys, and I don't think there's any putting us together again. I don't. And the forces that are... Well, we have a caller. Hello? Whoa. Hello? We had a slight... Oops. What's going on? We don't know. Okay, well, I'm just going to continue, and we'll try it. If the caller's there, we'll try to get you in a second. So reports from Vanity Fair say that people inside the White House now say Trump is unraveling, that the calls for help inside the White House that have been coming out of it since Trump took over have gotten more sort of hysterical. There is a sense that he is, in fact, spiraling out of control. There is talk that Generals Mattis and Kelly, the defense secretary and the chief of staff, have actually talked about what they would do if Trump goes for the nuclear button. They've talked about physically taking him down. People are starting to talk about the 25th Amendment, getting him out that way. That ain't going to happen. For the 25th Amendment to work, it's the vice president and the cabinet that have to say he's unfit. You tell me, you think we have a resounding unanimity on that with his hand-picked stooges? And if people say, oh, it's so depressing, well, I'm fucking sorry. I want to deal with the reality that presents itself to us. Our country's dying. And what are we talking about? Harvey Weinstein. And which starlet has now come forward, and how long it took this Democrat and that Democrat or that Hollywood mucky-muck to come out and say something terrible about Weinstein. Let me tell you. Trying to politicize this, which I believe the Republicans are, is the biggest absurdity I have witnessed in some time, and that's saying something since absurdity rules. Harvey Weinstein is not the President of the United States. Democrats did not nominate him to head their party. Abusers like him and like Trump cross all party lines, I assure you. This is not a problem about Republicans or Democrats or about Hollywood and I don't know what, D.C. This is how, I hate to tell you, this is how an extraordinary number of powerful men behave. And I will also acknowledge, as Henry Kissinger has told us, that power is the ultimate aphrodisiac, in that women. You know, you look at Harvey. He's no, man, if he walked out naked into a room I was in, I wouldn't get up and run. I'd be too busy puking. But he has power. And men possess power. And women, there's always a lot of women who want to be associated with a powerful man. So powerful men can have women. They don't need to rape them. They don't need to abuse them. That's the part I don't quite get. But they feel that entitled. I could tell you stories of my own, right? I think I have a few times. There was a congressman who was very powerful. His name was Burton. This is back in the 70s, for God's sakes. And he, I think, was from California. And I was doing an interview with him at the Sheraton Hotel in Madison, Wisconsin, in the dining room before it was opened. And we were sitting at a lovely table with a white linen cloth over it. And he's sitting next to me, and I start doing the reporter thing. And his hand went up my thigh, under my skirt, and up my thigh while I'm asking him some policy question about something or other. You would not know it from seeing the interview, because that's what women did in those days. You just took it. I had my hand down. I met his. And the whole time this interview's going on, I am pushing him without appearing to be. And men like that, they just relished the game. It was a game. I saw one of the women that has accused Weinstein say that he had said to her while he was lying naked in his bathtub that she needed to get comfortable with being naked if she wanted to be an actress. That she had to be able to take her clothes off, shed her skin, and be open. And if she wanted to be an actress who he could put in roles, then she had to be able to get naked in front of him. You know, when I heard that, I laughed, because I had the same thing said to me in 1969 by an acting teacher, acting professor, and actor, who later was outed by the Village Voice in a huge article in the 70s, I believe it still was, for sexually assaulting his female students exactly in that manner. Men with power do this. Has nothing to do with politics. Nothing. Has to do with power. If it's politics, it's sexual politics, gender politics. It ain't Republican, Democrat. We have a caller. Caller, hello?
Hello, Lynn.
Yeah.
Finally got through.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree with you 100% on this with Trump, but I kind of think the country was already there. He just popped come to made it and go to.
Yeah, we were close. We were getting there.
Our history
right.
tells us the wars we shouldn't have fought, the people who would kill building this country, the deaths. I mean, we're not as wonderful as we pretend to be. We write history books, we gloss over them. We've always talked about this stuff, and it's there have been some different times in history where we're doing pretty good, but not everybody was. So I don't know. There's kind of a myth of America that people just don't see if they have financial gains and they do well. They don't see the rest of the people are in poverty, sickness, and whatever. And that it's just coming to a head now because the rich have totally control everything.
That's right.
Now.
That's right.
And we're pretty much done.
That's right. And
I
you
don't
know what?
If we can come back
no,
or what? I don't know.
We cannot. A democracy cannot be sustained with the imbalance of wealth that we have. It doesn't work that way, and it can't work that way. And that's not the only thing that's going on, obviously. There's so much change in the world through technology and all of this that, I've said it a million times. We are not adjusting rapidly enough. We are not willing to acknowledge that we've made errors, like the way we do healthcare, for instance. We have not learned from other countries. We refuse to, who have done things better. We are, the enemy is us, the American people, and we're getting stupider by the minute, which is the end. You can't have representative democracy without an informed and active citizenry, and we don't have that. So we're just going to go down. We're going to go down fast, let me tell you, and we're going to take people with us. Happy to make your day. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. All right, let me get to... I'm sorry, guys. Don't get sidetracked. Oh, the Boy Scouts are letting in girls. I don't want to talk about it. Although it's cynical on their part, I'll tell you that. Yeah, keep out the gay scouts, keep out the transsexual scouts, keep out the girls until your finances are tanking because of your lousy management and failure to reach out to minority communities, and then try to steal from the Girl Scouts to keep your ship upright. Blah. To your emails. Henry, we may discover that Tillerson, Madison, Kelly, in the end, will be the heroes. I mean, heroes in only that they, kept us from nuclear holocaust. If these three are collectively the firewall preventing nuclear war, then thank goodness they're there. Trump has never released his health records. That is true. He's never released the things you would need to know before you vote for anybody. You want to see their tax return? You want to see their health record. The American people didn't give a shit. They elected this pig in a poke, and that some rather large number are still just thrilled. I was behind a guy with a Trump sticker on his truck this morning, and I thought, wouldn't you have taken that off by now? Not to take it off, to proudly drive around saying, yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one. Fuck. Henry writes, Trump has never released, I tell you, and for, you think he has dementia? Yeah. Oh, he wants to take an IQ test, too. I'd like to see that. I could get drunk, stoned, and I don't know what else, and beat him with half my brain tied behind my back in an IQ test. He's a fucking moron, exactly as the Secretary of State said. We got a caller. Hello, caller. No, we don't. We made a mistake. Call back if you want. Sorry. Having a little bit of a flibberty-gibbet day here. Chuck writes, describing Trump, words like unbalanced and unstable are becoming more prominent than ever. Yeah, and that's fudging it. Those are fudgy euphemisms. Yeah? He's stark raving mad. Last night on Chris Matthews, they had a lengthy discussion about the 25th Amendment. The Washington Post today posted an article asking, when do we reach 25th Amendment territory? People are starting... People are starting to recognize this may be the only option. Invoking the 25th is no easy task. It requires Pence and the cabinet to find the same level of courage that, well, I'll stop right there. It wouldn't be courage if they do it. It would be ambition, right? It wouldn't be courage if Pence could see a way to do the 25th, to get enough of the cabinet together and say, listen, guys, come on, we can get our stuff done better if, let me be the president. Come on. I can see that happening, but it won't be an act of courage. Caller, let's try this. Hello?
Yes, good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn, supposedly North Korea has our war plans.
Yes.
So they know what we're going to do. They somehow hacked into our...
Yeah, but I think those are old plans. I don't think they got the current ones. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's okay. Just like Equifax didn't give your data out to everybody.
Right.
I mean, so what? I mean, everything, we're done.
We're done.
I don't know. If you can correct, but just think, it's old plans, new plans. Everything's like exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody pretends like we're so secure, but we're not. We're just, I don't know. How can we be secure if everybody has all the data? Now, like you say, half the country got all their credit reports gone. So who got them? Russia got them. China, who has? Everybody, I guess, has them.
Yeah. Anybody, I guess, who wants them. Who the hell knows? I have a Yahoo account that now I find out was hacked.
Oh, yeah.
So
you
know what?
3 billion accounts.
I don't even bother with it. There is no, and people who are trying to sell you stuff to secure your stuff, there's no securing it, okay? It's whole...
Done. How can you secure things done? And the war plans are gone, and Trump's passing paper towels out in Puerto Rico like a basket, like he's throwing hot dogs at the seventh inning at the Pirate game. You know, they throw hot dogs out.
Oh yeah.
And he tells Mike Huckabee that you should have. I don't know what the press was talking about. People were thinking this is fun. He said they were joking and laughing. He goes, they were the softest paper towels. They were the softest paper towels. And then Mike Huckabee said, you're a rock star. And then Trump said, yes, I am. I mean, he said, yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of am.
No, this is insane. This is insane.
I mean, what in the hell?
Oh.
And then, like you said, well, I thought maybe Graham had some sense, and he's talking, he did not shoot a 73. A 70.
But he just lies all the... No, he lies all the time. He does not know.
He's professional.
But he's no different than, like, that Kim Jong-un and his father before him, who said, like, what, they could, like, swim 7,000 miles, in 2 minutes. And you put this shit out there, and the purpose of doing it is you then own reality. If you refuse to acknowledge reality and you lie with a straight face and then double down on them, you create an environment where you control everything. This is what dictators do. This guy is more of a nightmare than any of us could have imagined. I mean, I knew he'd be a nightmare, but this is the autocratic crap, the cult of personality, the clear intent of taking down our institutions. He's single-handedly destroyed the NFL, I think. It's just amazing, destructive human being. This guy, there'll be nothing left standing when he's done. All right, I'm done. All right.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for
listening. Bye. Yeah, thanks.
Talk to you, Lynn.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye. I'm glad he's laughing. I would call that nervous laughter. Mark writes, morning, Lynn. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Cleveland fan. Morning, Lynn. I'll read it in your voice, Mark. Morning, Lynn. Well, that's all very sad, but nothing when compared to Cleveland Indian ace Corey Kluber's complete collapse against the Yankees. A Cy Young candidate can't get through a combined 5 innings in 2 games. String him up! String him up! We're an angry people. It's only a game, Mark. Oh, well, Mark says, by the way, I hear Jared Kushner has a new assignment. He's been tasked with repairing relations with Eminem. Oh, God, please. Oh. Yeah. So, guys. And while we're talking we were talking a little bit about, men behaving badly, Trump, Weinstein. And let me say, Hillary Clinton must feel very uncomfortable when she has to come out and, jump on a guy who she thought was a friend, right? When she's the wife of a guy who used his privilege and power to get lots of sex, right? So, these are the guys. I'll tell you who never would have done something like that. A milquetoasty guy like George McGovern, Hubert Humphrey, those guys. Yeah, they're faithful to their wives. They don't grab women, but, we don't elect them. They're losers. We have a call. Hello, caller. Hello? Hello? Okay. Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird. There was all of a sudden a big loud beep, and then you could hear me.
Okay.
Well, at first I was calling about something else, but you're on the Weinstein thing, and I keep thinking, wait, why are Democrats or liberals or whatever taking so much heat for this? Because the guy isn't elected to anything, so I don't understand. I know he's a donor. He's a major donor. But the president bragged about doing pretty much the exact same thing. So,
and that was before he was elected. Yeah. So
yeah,
this
right.
is no.
And they thought just like what you just said, they thought it was fantastic. I have every reason to believe they thought that was a reason to vote for that guy because of what you just said. They love that kind of boiling over testosterone.
Right.
There's nothing conservatives love more.
No.
Take a giant gun and start shooting people. It just proves how masculine you are.
Yeah.
When you were talking about what a loon he is with the previous caller, that's actually... Have you heard this about how he wants to take away the broadcasting license?
Yes. Yes.
So is that... So am I nuts, or is that exactly what people turned on the head of Venezuela for? I'm blanking on his name.
Chavez or Maduro? Maduro.
Shutting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chavez, I think is who I'm thinking of.
Well, Chavez was the first
guy.
one, and now Maduro is the head there.
Right, but they turned on, they really
Hugo
got on
Chavez
when he started, he was trying to shut down newspapers and TV stations and stuff. And that was when they were attacking him, and now it's great when Trump does it.
No, it's one of the first things, it's what Hitler did. It's what it's what Erdogan's doing in Turkey right now. Certainly it's what Putin, Trump's great friend, what he does. He not only shuts down these things, he kills journalists, has them assassinated.
Right, and clearly no one has a problem with that. I mean, remember Putin, the whole Russian thing. Russia, we should be making friends. Even the people on the left say, oh, we need to be friends with Putin. And I don't think we need to have a nuclear war. But this is a guy who kills journalists, blows up apartment buildings filled with civilians, and we're supposed to be like bestie friends with him? How is that not the same as being friends with Saddam Hussein, which a couple years ago the left was against?
We have never been, we are an incoherent nation led by an incoherent monster. And I don't think, we're flat-footed. We've never seen anything like it, and we really are flummoxed about what to do. And I don't know. I think Charlie Pierce calling out Barack Obama, I like it, because now is not the time to observe the norms of ex-presidents. Just quietly watch whatever's happening. They don't interfere. This is not normal. The guy in the White House now has blown through every norm that we know. So for Obama to so studiously keep following the norm when the guy who succeeded him has blown up everything and might blow up the world, I think Barack Obama needs to come out. I don't care. Come on out. And not only him, but Jimmy Carter and the Bushes and Bill Clinton and every former president. We need some leadership here.
Yeah, I think if they do it all together, I don't think he should do it by himself, because it'll just be something else for them to sound
It'll be
an
uppity black guy again. Right, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
And the overt racism going on now is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Just mind-blowing.
It's fascinating. Another host on another station said, it was funny because first he said that he couldn't think of any oppression going on. Then he listed all these types of oppression that he could think of, and then just said, "Oh, well, that's not that big of a deal." So, like, not even and nobody makes sense right now. It's totally, like you're saying, everybody's flummoxed, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're still managing to be totally racist and while being flummoxed.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. So, I mean, what makes the hurricane victims in Puerto Rico different than the ones in Florida? He thinks Puerto Rico, they speak Spanish. They're not really American citizens to him, and they're this and that, and they're brown, a lot of them. So that's the end of that. And then going after football players and basketball players, they're black. Going after, I mean, this guy is an out-and-out racist. Out-and-out racist. If you're looking for some solace, head over tonight to the Glitter Box Theater, where City Paper's going to be and Planned Parenthood's going to be. And it's the I Stand with Planned Parenthood. It's a Glitter Box Bash, and we're inviting you. You can get your tickets at the door, $5 if you got a student ID, $10 is the suggested price. Otherwise, there'll be beer there, and in fact, 2 complimentary beers with your ticket. And that's over in Oakland, 460 Melwood, from 6:30 to 10. There'll be food, live music, and Sex Jeopardy! Okay? All right. Thanks for... I don't have time. Thanks for being there. And I'm sorry if what we're left with is so disquieting, but I'll be damned. I ain't an ostrich, and I don't have my head in the sand. And I just got to speak what I think. And I think we're fucked. Have a nice day.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.